Julian Lage is one of the greatest guitar players and improvisers of our time. He's extremely versatile and spanning many genres, including jazz, blues, and acoustic. What are the characteristics of his playing that make him so unique, though? Let's talk about it in this week's video. Hey everyone. Today I wanted to talk about Julian Lage and his playing and just kind of the concepts that he uses to kind of get his unique sound. And so the goal is, after this video, we can kind of have some of his techniques and kind of concepts that he uses so we can kind of sound more like him. So let's get started. I have two songs that we're going to look at today. We have Nocturne. These are both the live in Los Angeles version. So Nocturne, as well as the other song is I'll Be Seeing You. So we're just going to go through these tunes. I have some things that I wanted to show and talk about these concepts as they come up. So let's get started. So the first thing, Nocturne, we're going to look at the second line. So Julian uses a lot of like open string, dissonance, a lot of minor seconds, major sevenths, minor ninths, things like that. So this first part, you see the highlighted section. This is the melody, right? So that dissonance with the open string. And then I love this part. I call it a lazy slide. Right? It's got that like almost carefree, playful sound. The last line on that page, you kind of see some more lazy slide. I think, if I remember correctly, he uses his pinky on this. He's like playing this he kind of slowly just kind of sticks that out. Also, here's some more use of dissonance with the open strings. So after this little part again, he has this kind of, it's like a D flat almost. So it's a, F, A flat, the open B string, and then the open E string. Right, so what that gives you is the third, the fifth, the flat 7, and then the sharp 9. Right, and later on the next example, I love what he does. He takes this ninth voicing, B9, just moving it back 1 fret, and it gives these open strings to kind of give some colorful sounds. Right, so you have the root, the third, the flat 7, the 9, and then the open string becomes the sharp 11. Cool. Next example, more of those lazy slides. Love all that. Moving forward, another thing that we'll see a lot in this is he loves augmented chords all over the place. So there's this E bass. Now there's not the third in there. It's just the root and the raised fifth. But it's clearly implying that augmented triad. And you'll see that next example, there's an F augmented triad right here. So he does this. Right. Love that. Augmented sound. So there will be a ton of augmented triads in here. So even though his Julian's playing is like, he has a lot of very sophisticated harmony, he also has some very simple, bluesy harmony that's not anything, crazy, but the way that he places the melody and his phrasing is just so unique and special. And really his touch is what kind of makes him sound so good. So here we have, he's thinking D flat, kind of D flat major pentatonic. Sorry. Okay, so we have this. So that's just all out of the major pentatonic scale using double stops. And I love these little ornamentations where he has these hammer-ons and things like that, these grace notes. So you have the, just everything is just so perfectly placed. Right there, and then more blues. Cool. So next example, right? It's so interesting how he decides to do this. He has this D flat augmented. So he's going from this, actually let's back up just a bit. So we have this E flat 7 chord going to the G over A. Right, so I love the way he kind of does the voice thing on this. Right, just walking that. Then he goes up to this augmented, also with the natural fifth, so the sharp 5 and the natural 5. Right, so there's that. Moving along, this is kind of a good example of like perfect pentatonic scale playing. Love this. So it's got this. Such a good lick right there. Then more double stops. Right. So these, to me, it's amazing how well he blends these two concepts. It's just like perfection. Some more dissonance using open strings. This kind of sound right here. D flat 7 sharp 9 kind of sound, and then also your kind of stock dominant 7 sharp 11 voicing. He just takes off that first finger, right, and just uses the open string. That kind of sound. More augmented playing, tons of augmented playing here. I love this part because he's on the B flat minor. He's playing the major 7. He's playing the major 7 and bending it up. And then he rounds it out with a more, dissonance right there. So I love that. Then more pentatonic stuff. Oh, that's not right. Cool. So moving on, every time, it seems a lot of times when he's playing the augmented chords, they're used as passing chords. This is pretty common. So like this example right here, this, right? So normally you have, it's your D flat major triad. You just take the 5th and move it up a half step. You get that augmented sound. So that's what he's doing. It's all about the bass note, because you could think of that as an F. But it's augmented that way. Cool, so where were we? We have this. We also have, we talked about the blues scale. He's playing a lot of blues scale stuff. And if you understand the blues scale, you can introduce quite a bit of chromaticism, right? If you're thinking of this as a D flat major pentatonic, right? You could have the root, the second, and then also the third, right? And when you have the major pentatonic, what you do is you have a chromatic note in between the second and the third. So you have the flat third and the major third. Okay, so this is a cool way to kind of get some chromaticism. You can go major third, flat third, second, root. He takes it a step further and he just fills in that, that kind of flat 9 in there too. So, and he uses this as like a little motif on this part. He goes, then he adds the octave, and then he goes, kind of takes it down. Right, that's like just a beautiful way to phrase that. Just take little fragments of that and then kind of build on it, and then make it more longer and more complex. More augmented chord stuff. Right, F augmented. Which, you know, superimposes. Right, the way augmented chords work is they are transposable by major thirds. So you can play a augmented chord off D flat, F, and A, and they work. Okay, next example. You'll see in pink, the note heads in pink. I basically wanted to write out the voice leading on this because I thought it was so cool how he does this. So basically, let's find, where am I at? Right here, this D flat 7 chord to G flat. So everything's moving down by half step. And then it resolves back up. Right, so you have this. Okay, and then next one, F7, and then B minor. Okay, we go to the next example. You see, again, and the note heads are pink, and you can see that basically those are also moving by step, by half step. This is probably the coolest voicing I've ever seen, and I'm actually not 100% sure if it's correct, but it's pretty close. It's this, I call it a B9 sharp 11 sus 4. It's just this really dissonant chord that sounds awesome. All right, we're getting into my favorite part of this whole song. So the ending is the best part. I was trying to think, why does this work so well? And I had to break it down. If you look in the red notes, basically I was trying to outline what kind of, if I had to break this down in its most simplest form, what was actually happening in this, because it's a lot of chromaticism, you know. Right, that kind of thing. So to me, what I'm hearing is like just a D flat major triad, and you have that with the kind of bending up to that note, and then the A flat. So it's really kind of that, and then he ends with his D flat. That C walks up to the D flat. I just love this. And then the dissonance right here. Cool. So that's like the cool. If there's just one lick you remember the whole song. I just think that's the coolest thing. Next song, this one is significantly more challenging to play. This is I'll Be Seeing You. And so the other thing that this song does that I think he focuses a little bit more than the other song is his use of counterpoint. Julian is just a master at this. So you notice again, I have these note heads and then the tab that are basically color-coded. One of them, the red, is to show kind of the melody at its simplest form, and the blue is kind of to show the harmony, and then later on you'll see a purple tab number or note head that kind of reflects the, usually it's the bass line, but some other kind of counter melody. So this song, basically, in its most simplest form, the melody is just... Right, so what he does is he's filling in these other notes to kind of give it more character, fill out the harmony sometimes, but in the simplest form, that's kind of what I would say it is. right? So I kind of wrote this out as a D minor 7 flat 5. It's kind of that sound. I love this second inversion, right? The fifths in the bass. So next part, melody continues. And on this part, so this is a minor 6 chord. I was debating whether this 4th fret, that C flat or B natural, was part of the melody or not. And tell me if this is convincing. I hear the melody as this. Right, this is just kind of a note to kind of give it some contrast. Right, so we have melody continues. This next part is really cool. I'll probably screw it up, but I'm going to try to play it anyways. So basically, you have this this blue. I don't really consider this where the melody actually starts. This is kind of the climbing point up to the higher register where the melody, I feel like, actually comes in. So we have this. So that those red notes, the 9th fret, and then the 8th fret, to me, that's where I actually hear the melody coming in. And kind of the reason I think that is earlier, it ends with that G note, kind of just jumping the octave. Right, so I'm playing measure 9, so I have that melody. Playing that top voicing. I love the way he kind of just harmonizes this. Okay, so this comes to another example with Julian's playing a lot of chromatic neighbor tones, right? So here's the note he's playing. You're just going to go down a half step below that, and there's your neighbor tone. Is just when you go above or below and right back to the note. And I call it a chromatic neighbor tone because it's just one half step below. And then that G with the sharp 4. Okay. And then the melody is that 12th fret. Right, so it's a cool progression. It's this G sharp 4, this C minor major 7, right? You got the 5th, the root, the 3rd, the flat 3rd, and the major 7. And then you move the flat 3rd up to the major 3rd. Then you get the C major 7. Stretches are way more difficult than they look. E7, more chromatic neighbor tone stuff. Right, so the harmony is really interesting what happens here. It's kind of got this like fifths progression, right? So it goes D7 to G, but the G has the F in the bass. Right, so anytime you have a third inversion dominant 7th chord, usually the flat 7 wants to go to the 3rd. So you expect this to go, kind of D7, G7 to C, something like that. But he does this very, different approach to it. He has this, he goes to the E7 alt. Really, it's got this sharp 9, flat 9, and sharp 11. Then I hear this as a C major 7. Cool. Let's move on. tune up real fast. It's driving me crazy. Okay. All right, so this is, I don't know how he improvised this or played this, you know, on the spot, but trying to dissect what's going on with this melody. Same thing, the red notes are the melody as I hear it. Right, so A fully diminished chord. Right, outlining the E triad. So most of this melody is just kind of scalar, just going straight up. This is cool. Anytime like I see like some kind of sixth, like in this case, F sharp to the D, kind of it just, to me, it outlines the triad, the major third and the root. Here, this is kind of an exception. It goes up, so G7, so this is the flat 7. I kind of just think of this as, you can think of it as like a C sus or a G7 sus, but there's the resolution. So to me, that's like so Bach. You also have this dissonance right here. So this is like the craziest. Minor ninth is like the most dissonant sound. And he resolves that to the octave. Cool, more dissonance on that part. I spent so many hours trying to just learn this and transcribe this. It was a fun project. He also does some enclosures. Some people call these different things. This enclosure right here, kind of a chromatic enclosure. Some people call these like run-throughs, where you have your target note, you run through it, you end back on it. Okay. Later on, so this is kind of the outro section where it's kind of got that free feeling. He does this, another minor 9, but he has the major third, resolving it up. Right, so that's cool. And yeah, so these are just 2 of the songs that I've done. I bet you there's a ton more concepts where Julian is doing even other concepts that I haven't even discussed in this video. I really appreciate you taking the time to just watch this video. If you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe, and see you next time. Thanks.